I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we're going to call the roll. And we'll start out with Alderman Barnhill.
Present.
Alderman Blanton. We've got quite a few missing. Alderman Caesar. Alderman Peterson.
Here.
Alderman Berger. Vice Mayor Brown.
Present.
Alderman Potts. Alderman Baggett.
Present.
Thank you. We'll now start with an invocation, and then I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance, so if we'll please stand. Alderman Barnhill, please.
Would you bow, please? Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer tonight, thanking you for this great nation that we live in. We know that there are many, many places that people do not have the privileges and the freedoms that we have. We give you thanks for these. We also ask your blessings upon our public service employees. They're the ones that provide the safety net that allows us to have meetings, to have the freedoms that we enjoy so greatly. We ask your blessings upon them. We ask your blessings upon the military. We know that many times there's separation with families. We know that it's difficult on family members. We ask your blessings upon our military. We also ask, Heavenly Father, that you bless this board as we make decisions that ultimately affect the citizens of Franklin. Give us spiritual wisdom and guidance. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is setting the agenda. Are there any motions regarding the consent agenda or any items to be removed? Seeing none, we'll go on to, are there any, does anyone want to rearrange any of the items that are on the agenda for consideration tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the order of the agenda as listed.
Move to approve the agenda as listed.
Second.
Thank you. Appropriate motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll now go to citizen comments. I have quite a few citizen comments. Here's the way we're going to do this. I have a number of people that want to speak on Eddie Lane, and I'm going to allow you to speak in this citizen comment period of time, and I'll allow you 90 seconds each. I also have a group of people that want to speak on South Berry's Chapel Road. Yes. And this is not a public hearing for South Berry's Chapel. South Berry's Chapel Road, tonight we will vote on it, and then the next meeting would be a public meeting. But I'm going to allow you to speak at the citizen comment time now, and I'll allow you 90 seconds. I do have people that want to speak on items that are on the agenda for a public hearing, and we will consider those at the time of the public hearing. So we'll start with Eddie Lane folks that have been here since, how long, I don't know. And I would ask them to line up at the podium in the following order: Chad Madrigon, Cameron Ayler, Catherine Vella, Kristen Sweeting, and Emily D'Souza. And if you happen to not line up like I called you, I won't be mad. So you have 90 seconds, and I would ask that you, when you hear the gong, that you exit. Thank you.
You have to give your name.
All right, thank you, everyone. I get to cut in line because you said it was okay. So my name is Cameron Ayler. I live at 137 Lucinda. I've been in Franklin and on Lucinda for almost 10 years now. We've been working really hard to try to bring some awareness to Eddie Lane and the areas between 96 and Liberty Pike. I'm going to use a story for myself because I've got about 70 seconds left. In November, I was jogging. I do a 5K to go through downtown, up Franklin, past Harlansdale, Liberty, and back up. And I was intentionally run off the road by a pickup truck just in front of the co-op. Because there were no sidewalks, there's a steep embankment, I had to hold my own against an F-250. Imagine trying to do that to a child when I've got to play chicken and choose if I'm going to be in the front or the back while they're on a bike. This is how it happens when we ride our bikes to go to the farmer's market or to anything at Harlansdale or the factory. Now pick that up if we decide to have an accident that sits on 96 or on Liberty. Then we also have congestion on the street because everyone gets throttled through that. By the way, we also have more events, which is awesome. I love the fact that Franklin's growing and doing a great part about the infrastructure and bringing tourism. This is what Pilgrimage Festival looks like. Anything that's happening in Harlansdale, the park, we just had an arts festival at Pinkerton. I've got to drive my kids there and I can see it from my house. This is the Santa visit. There's about 15, we have 21 children on our street under the age of 16. So they can't drive. The only thing they do is walk. So they have to wait for these conditions to happen. I would ask you to just please give some thought when you're doing your prioritization. This helps both the tourism expansion as well as the safety of our children. Thank you.
You'll leave those exhibits with our city recorder.
Hello, my name's Chad Mondragon. I live at 124 Lucinda Court, and speaking as a parent of 5 kids, 2 of them at Centennial High School, 1 at Freedom Middle School, and 2 at Freedom Intermediate School, and just the concern for even the sidewalk situation as it relates to buses and the safety of our children who at times may have to walk up and down Lucinda because they're not dropped off at Lucinda, and that makes it a little bit concerning as a parent, considering the amount of work vehicles that are passing through there because of the landscaping company. Also a little bit concerned about the signage we have on 96 that points to the factory down Lucinda as opposed to other streets that do have sidewalks and turn lanes. And so it just becomes concerning that we are very happy to get new infrastructure inside the factory and restaurants and things for people to go to, but that also creates more traffic, more opportunity for, as Mr. Ayler said, people to get hit, not just children, but adults as well. And it's just continued to be a concerning process for us. I've spoke to many of you around election time. I know Mr. Caesar and Ms. Blanton and others. And so we just want you to continue to reconsider, not forget it. We're not going away, and we will be here. We have several on the petition that want to also speak out as well. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Kat, fellow Lucinda person. Not one to public speak, so forgive me. I just wanted to point out that, I've definitely seen an increase in both vehicles and pedestrians on that street. I don't have the hard data, but I can tell you I see multiple times a week a pedestrian who is on the road, who has no option to get off because it's dips down or what have you. And there are plenty of cars who won't be like me and kind of go around them if they have that option. Or I'm trying to do that and somebody's slamming their brakes behind me or what have you. But there are plenty of people who I would almost say bully and will try to stay right by them. That's dangerous. I also want to point out my daughter started kindergarten last year, and I do remember everybody from Ralston over coming over, walking their children to school. My child turns to me and says, "Hey, Mom, let's walk to school." We live 2 minutes away by car, yet I'm not able to do that because logistically, 8 a.m., it's heavy traffic. It's just not a smart decision. I'm telling her, run for certain parts of Eddy Lane, if we do want to go to Pinkerton Park, if we want to go to the factory, things that I thought we'd utilize a lot more, being this close by. Last but not least, a fellow neighbor, child 5 years old. My name is Sawyer. I am 5 years old. I wanted a sidewalk on Eddy so I can bike to school and to the park. I'm in K at Liberty. Thank you so much for your time and hearing us.
Hi, my name is Kristen Sweeting. I'm a long-term resident of the Nashville and Franklin area, but have lived on Eddy Lane for 3 years. We live at 436 Eddy Lane. So we are really close to 96, and we are the people that stare down the cars when we're walking every day to the park, and often see what it kind of creates, not just for us, but for cars trying to dodge each other, trying to make sure that they're not getting into any sticky situations. There's a part on Eddy Lane that is a bridge that goes over the creek that has about this much on the side of the road as well. So if we find ourselves on the bridge when a car is coming, we're kind of up a creek, so to speak. And so I think not only as being a house that witnesses some of these traffic issues, we've seen car wrecks right in front of our house, cars backed up for Several houses, especially when it's rush hour at that 96 Eddie Lane intersection, but also for our own family's personal safety and all of my neighbors here that also are enjoying walking to the park or walking downtown or walking to the factory. It really is pretty scary, and we do it every day, but smile / kind of death stare at every car that passes us, just because we do think they're actually trying to hit us. So thank you for considering adding a sidewalk. I think it would be such an addition to the neighborhood. It would create a lot, not only safety, but just a great experience for neighbors here. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Emily D'Souza. I live at 136 Lucinda Court, and I've been there for 11 years. And to summarize a bit, I think, of what everyone has said, and I just heard from Mr. Ayler that we have over 200 signatures on the change.org petition in favor of this. It's outside the realm of just affecting Lucinda Court residents or Eddie Lane residents. It affects all of the tourists that come for pilgrimage, all of the people that maybe work at the factory and walk there, which I've seen plenty, students who go to a Fort Granger field trip and are trying to take a back way into Pinkerton Park. It affects a great number of residents outside of just the ones who are here sort of representing. It would be lovely to have it for our family use, but also I think it's a safety concern for the city at large, that there are just so many pedestrians that use it for exercise, for work purposes, for getting to school, getting to classes, and there are about 4 partial sidewalks down Eddie Lane. So maybe there's some way to infrastructure-wise create a full one. It would be a huge boon to the tourism industry and to all the things that are being done in that neck of the woods. Thank you.
Okay, we're now going to switch gears, and thank you for those comments. We're now going to go to South Baptist Chapel, and here's the way I would like to see you line up. Tom Weiss, Rodney Rose, Joan Bledsoe, Keith Casseri, John Michael, and Holly Johns.
Thank you. My name is Tom Weiss. I live at 2189 South Baptist Chapel Road. And I want to thank BOMA for allowing us to pause in the process when we were here last month. It allowed us to ask questions, gain knowledge of the process, and also to meet with members of BOMA and our Williamson County Commissioners and with our legal counsel to understand this a little bit better. We were able to meet with Mr. Blackburn, who is the developer. And we did find, and we understand that he's trying to build this community for his family. We did find one element of common ground so far. We plan on other discussions, is that there should not be any connectors onto his property from behind it into the city of Franklin, or any connectors to proposed areas. We believe that would put too much pressure on the road. So we're in concert with Mr. Blackburn there, and we hope to continue to discuss with him. We still have concerns about this development and future development in our area and the zoning and the traffic on South Baptist Chapel Road, especially the 2 intersections at Franklin Road and at Linwood Way. So we continue to have concerns about the view shed and the animals there. And we look forward to continued dialogue with you, with Mr. Blackburn, and with our legal counsel to figure out a way to make all this work and happen for us. But again, I appreciate the time and I appreciate the pause that allowed us to get our act together. Thank you.
I'm Joan Bledsoe. I've been here in Williamson County longer than most of you've been alive. That's kind of a testimonial to eating well. But I used to ride a horse from Clovercroft Road on Wilson Pike all the way to the store on Concord Road. Had no problem with anybody running over me. Now I can't even go to my mailbox on South Baptist Chapel without taking my life in my hands. My house faces Franklin Road. I can't get out for 10 minutes many times on Franklin Road or on Baptist Chapel to go anywhere, so I try to time myself 20 minutes earlier. I also appreciate the animals. I know that you've talked a lot about the heritage that we have here. our heritage art, it's not only buildings, it's our landscape. People come down South Berry's Chapel Road just to see the beauty of when you come over that hill and see Legends Ridge. It's a tourist attraction. Believe it or not, I've had people from California come just to go over that road and see how beautiful it is. Carl and Goldie Smith had that, and they kept it nice and made sure that it was kept pretty much like it was when they had it. I think that we also have an eagle's nest on this property.
ma'am.
We've
You'll be
seen the
finishing up,
eagles now,
Joan.
and we've got to take care of that. And our geoengineer is also worried about some of the things that haven't been tested yet. So I'd appreciate it if you all try to keep Williamson County a little like it used to be, because I kind of miss it. And I know you've done a lot of good things, but I'd like to see a little of our original county left. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. My name is John Michael, Thompson Burton Law Firm. I work with Mr. Blackburn, the owner of this property, in his efforts to develop it for 16 residential houses. We wanted to point to three key things tonight with the limited time available to us. One, we are meeting all of the required provisions of Envision Franklin, not just in its current iteration, but even with some of the amendments that are now under contemplation by the city. We will still meet every portion of Envision Franklin with a careful and purposeful emphasis on one of the biggest points under Envision, which is preservation of natural features. Our tree survey is already almost complete, identifying all the healthy and robust trees that can be not just preserved but celebrated on this property in the years to come, but also the appropriate areas relative to the wetlands there, so that we can do new plantings to continue to help the tree canopy evolve in this part of the city, if in fact it is annexed. Additionally, our engineering team from Reagan Sniff has performed exemplary work in designing the massive improvements to the wetland protections for this area that will not only benefit this project, but other areas nearby. Ultimately, we also want to point to the path to annexation. This area has been in the urban growth boundary for quite some time, and even though some of the areas near here were pulled back from the UGB somewhat more recently, this was kept in. The point we want to make is this is always what the city has anticipated and therefore planned for. It's annexing this area in, having a chance to do a smart, healthy, reasonable, safe, long-term quality development. The final point we'll raise is to roads and access. We will remind you that we've asked to have one condition removed regarding a bridge into the neighboring subdivision, and I think one of our colleagues spoke to that as well. We ask for your support. We ask to have a chance to answer any questions with facts we ever can. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Rose. I live at 4013 Linwood Court in Linwood Downs. And I am going to address a couple things since the gentleman just brought it up, that it does not hit all the Envision Franklin items as he says. In fact, I'm going to point out, and I'm going to do the lack of time, and I've sent everybody a copy of this as well. Page 19 talks about natural beauty. 32, 34, 37, and 38 talk about conservation and specific call-outs to Linwood and to Franklin roads into the areas. Page 40 talks about development reserve, and pages 50 and 51 and 52 talk about a label as an adjective called large lot. That is not an official zoning. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I disagree with the gentleman on that. I want to talk about the zoning of large lot. That doesn't exist, and it's not anywhere in the city of Franklin's zoning ordinance. Chapter 20 on page 304, section 2.7.9, establishments zoning states. And when a property is annexed into the city, there's special considerations. A zoning district shall be established this is per the zoning ordinance, in one of the following zones, and that's either ag or ER. There is no exceptions. It says that plainly. It doesn't say you can go into PD. In fact, there's another section that talks about PD, which is on page 306, chapter 20. On chapter 20, it says that PD should not be used for avoidance of other zoning issues that are there. There are ag uses adjacent to this property currently, and that's what the zoning was. I know it is a desirable area, and everyone's trying to get there, whether it's zoning annexation or from elsewhere. The roads are an issue And I address those in my emails as well, so thank you so much.
Yep.
Hello, Board. My name's Holly Johns, and I live.
Can you
at
pull the mic
2260
down a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you.
I live at 2260 South Berry's Chapel, and I am trying to hit a timer so that I can spend most of
We
my
got
90
your time.
seconds. Great. I want to spend most of my time just telling you how happy I am to be here. I am an encroacher. I have been here for the last 3 years, but I am a native Tennessean, and I'm from Memphis. I'm a proud Memphis girl, but there's a reason that I'm in Middle Tennessee. And it's because of the amazing culture. And for the past 10 years that I've been coming back and forth into Franklin, I've witnessed the amazing culture, and I've told any and everybody where I live in Florida half the time what an amazing place this is. And if I could live anywhere in the world, I'd live in Franklin, Tennessee. And lo and behold, here I am. And all my entertainment children from California got roped into coming here because I told them to come here. So we're all here now. And again, we're all a little bit of an encroacher. But I've also been saying for the past 3 years, I don't know how the city government's doing it. I don't know how these Williamson County people are managing all this growth and all of this stuff that's happening. So I'm here to say thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job. Williamson County's doing an amazing job. I would like to ask you to continue to consider, let me get the glasses on, the traffic jam that I think we're going to have in our community on South Berry's coming out on Franklin Road. My neighbor here, I don't know how she's going to do it. I would ask you consider the Wildlife Envision View Shed in keeping with the general requirements of Envision Franklin. I don't know exactly what that means, but y'all know, we kind of know what that means. Thank you for all your help and us White Shirts team working at a win-win with our new neighbor, because we appreciate development. Thanks for helping us all just be good neighbors.
There we go, a little bit better. Good evening. I just wanted to step up. Keith Cassari, I live at 2181 South Berry's Chapel Road. Mainly want to just come up here and say thank you. I know you guys do a lot of work and probably not as appreciated as what you should be. We appreciate you. We just want to come up and share kind of what we love about Franklin and about that area. And it's the beauty. I mean, it's truly beauty. I know you guys probably have all driven down through there, and we just want to protect what is there. And a lot of us have come up in other meetings, but this one as well, just concerned about the wildlife, concerned about the traffic. You've heard a lot of people share their concerns about the traffic. South Berry's is a nightmare. Adding 1 or 2 new cars on it doesn't seem like much, and it's not much. But if this development does get pushed through, it's opening the door for many more to follow. There's still some farmland out there, and the considerations of that and what that means for future growth is kind of very concerning. There's South Berry's is a major thoroughfare for riders on bikes. If you talk to any of the bikers, it's tough. We've had enough accidents around Franklin and Williamson County that we just don't want to have any more on South Berry's. So I ask you just to consider that. We love growth. I mean, that's what Franklin's incurring right now, and that's a good thing. It's just controlled, and what does it mean? So thanks for your time again. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now go to communications from the Williamson County Commission. I see none of the commissioners. I don't see the mayor, so we'll move on to approval of minutes from March the 26th, 2024 work session and March 26, 2024 Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. Before I ask for a motion on that, the Berry's Chapel folks, South Berry's Chapel folks, you know, the next I guess it's the next meeting, we would have public hearing. Is that correct?
No, May.
May 14th, okay, just for clarification.
Come on.
So is there a motion to approve all those minutes?
Sure, motion to
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Well, now, are there any recognitions or miscellaneous reports?
I did want to say, as the Eddie Lane folks were leaving, the reason why they were here early was I'll take some blame for that, for miscommunicating, because I thought the capital investment discussion on the first agenda was going to include this, and I
yeah.
invited them. So thank you all for sticking it out. Appreciate it.
Well,
Okay, seeing none, we'll now go to the consent agenda. All items in the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature, but the governing body thereby approves and recommended to the committee is staffed by one motion of the governing body. We're looking at items 18 through 23. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, and seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Old business, consideration of resolution 2024-06, a resolution to annex two properties consisting of 35.95 acres located west of Franklin Road and south of South Berry's Chapel Road at 2247 South Berry's Chapel Road and adjoining the city limits within the northern part of the Franklin urban growth boundary, UGB, establishing a public hearing on May the 14th. I should have read that caption before I made my announcement, shouldn't I? So, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Appropriate motion, seconded by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Certainly want to get to the public hearing. I've had some really great conversations with both the residents. Thank you to this board for giving us some space to be able to do that. I've had some great conversations with the applicant team. And I know that they've had productive conversations together. You know, this does sit a little differently than some of those contentious issues that are out there. I think everybody's just trying to get to a really good place together, and I think there's good spirit and good intentions on both sides. I do think there's a few areas still to be worked out that could actually make things better all across the board. And so we're going to continue some of those discussions, specifically around sort of where South Berry's Chapel hits Franklin Road, and certainly in the consideration of those connection points. I will, in a future vote on this, be moving to remove some of those connection points. I just think they're too much, and they're too much to ask. And they actually, it is a shared place that both the residents that have concerns and the developer, nobody wants those. And so to remove something that's contentious, that's not necessarily, I think, is going to be important to do. But I definitely want to advance this towards the public hearing, and so support doing that. And we'll continue discussions as we go.
Any other comments? Alderman Potts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to thank the board and also thank the public for allowing us to extend our research and opportunity to look at this development. I do want to make a correction. One of the individuals who spoke this evening stated that there was a bald eagle nesting location on the property. And we did reach out to Tennessee Wildlife Federation. We did reach out to also a national organization that tracks bald eagle nesting and tracks, you know, how the birds operate and everything like that, and their flight patterns, etc. And they, after research, they said that there is not a nest on this area. Not saying, as we've seen pictures, that bald eagles have used this area for hunting or resting or whatever they might be doing. But I did just want to provide that clarity because that was one of the points that I had made in the last meeting, and I wanted to follow through on that.
Alderman Baggett.
Point of information, maybe planning could help. There was a comment made that when we go through an annexation, that it can only be annexed into certain zoning classifications, be it estate residential or ag. And I wasn't aware, I mean, I knew that they were typically, we annexed into estate residential. I just want to make sure that I'm clear that the annexed into a PD is normal, or can you just clarify?
Yes, so depending on the current use of the property for annexation, if a specific zoning district is not requested with the annexation, it will either be ag or estate residential. We've had many projects come through that it's a PUD development plan tied to a specific annexation of property.
That's what I need to know. Thank you.
Any other? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 5 is consideration orders 2024-09. It's an ordinance to zone 35.95 acres Plan PD 0.30 district and Hillcrest Overlay District and to rezone 16.66 acres from residential R1 district to Plan PD 0.30 district for the property located west of Franklin Road and south of Berry's Chapel Road at 2247 South Berry's Chapel Road, preserve at Sheridan PUD, establish a public hearing on May the 14th. Wow, that was a mouthful. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Would you like to make some comments?
No, same comments as before.
Anybody else?
I wanted to make, the last one's related to the annexation. On this one, I just want to vocalize that I drive this road every day, Franklin Road, twice a day, sometimes 4, 6 times a day. And so this intersection of Franklin Road and South Berry's Chapel has just inherent issues that we've got to address that are not necessarily related to South Berry's Chapel traffic, but certainly this impacts that. The second thing I would say on the road, and I got to speak with the applicant, and I actually think they're trying to do the right thing here and trying to do something appropriate, and I appreciate that. I really do. I worry as a city, and if you go look at South Berry's Chapel, I worry we're getting another Eddie Lane and another Clovercroft Road, where you have county and city intermixed, and the maintenance, and we're going to be taking on a large road expense. So I'd be curious to have engineering look at, projected costs of what kind of improvements does this road need to meet city standards? Because over the next 15 or 20 years, if we do go down this road, that pun intended, there will be improvements that need to be made to that road, and I think they are going to be costly, significantly costly, and this could lead to additional development. I'm normally not like, this is going to lead to the apocalypse of development in this area kind of person, because I think sometimes development growth can be great for an area, but in this case, that road worries me, and we're already looking at significant road costs. So I love the spirit of cooperation that I'm hearing. And I'll vote to move this forward to public hearing, and look forward to hearing more comments after the public hearing. But I did want to point out that road, and get some more information from staff on what is that road, what is this going down this, this road look like from a cost standpoint. Thank you.
Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 6, which is a public hearing. Consideration ordinance 2024-08, an ordinance to rezone 16.81 acres from neighborhood commercial district to Plan PD 96,000 district for the property located south of Goose Creek Bypass and east of Goose Creek Drive. Joey?
Thank you. The subject property is located south of Goose Creek Bypass and east of Goose Creek Drive. And the accompanying development plan proposes a one-story restaurant building with drive-through window service and a 3-story office building with 96,000 square feet of non-residential space. Envision Franklin places this property in the neighborhood commercial design concept, which contains a mix of active uses at key intersections that generally serve surrounding residential concentrations. These centers should be compatible with and contribute to neighborhood character and livability. These centers should be defined by building frontages and an activated street. They should be pedestrian-friendly and high-quality architecture that creates active, connected gathering places. In keeping with the vision of the neighborhood commercial design concept, Envision Franklin specifically states that conventional drive-through window use are discouraged on a one-story level, and that drive-through windows uses may only be appropriate if integrated into the side or rear of multi-tenant buildings, without the need for a front drive aisle between the primary structure and the street it faces. The proposed site layout of the development plan is in direct conflict with this policy of Envision Franklin, and therefore staff must recommend disapproval of the rezoning for the plan district that is tied to the development plan that is in the next item. Now, with that said, city staff certainly acknowledges that the context of the neighborhood commercial designation is different than from those most found in the city. So rather than a commercial node serving a large concentration of nearby residential units, this site is along a wide major arterial street, and there are standalone drive-through uses across the street. So this site may not lend itself to this particular policy within Envision Franklin due to that context and location of the site. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this ordinance, and staff recommends disapproval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen because the accompanying development plan does not comply with Envision Franklin. However, as previously stated, BOMA may find the site does not lend itself to this particular policy on drive-through window uses as defined in Envision Franklin, and therefore you may recommend approval. So happy to answer any questions on ordinance 2024-08. Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing, and I have a number of speakers that want to speak. I have some that have been very specific about what they want to speak about, and some that have broadly said number 6, 7, and 8. I would ask that if it's okay with the speakers, that all the speakers speak during item 6, but if you want to speak during 7 or 8, where the road impact fee is, we're certainly welcome to those also. So unless somebody opposes that, I'm going to call the following. I'll ask the applicants to speak last. And if I'm correct, that's Greg Gamble and Sean Finnegan. Is there anyone else that's okay? So then we'll start with here. Brian Davis line up, followed by Patty Hoyt, Vicky Krieger, Dale Bukowski, Ron Reed, Matt Doberhull, Jerry Dennis, and then we'll go with Sean Finnegan and Greg Gamble, and they can flip if they want to.
Mr. Mayor, Board, my name is Brian Davis. I live at 115 Gosling Drive in Goose Creek Estates. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'd like to start with saying I appreciate your service to your community. I know it's not fun, but I'm glad somebody's doing it. I brought boards for your visual pleasure to go along with what we're talking about tonight. We are not here, our neighbors and I, to fight with In-N-Out Burger. We find this project overall to be acceptable and pleasing. We find them to be an above-board company. They've been willing to meet with us and have given us written commitments on pretty much most items that we've discussed. We find them to be honorable and believe that they want to build a good project, and that the history shows that they'll maintain that. However, we have one major issue that's not in their control, but it's in your control, and that is the projected public access drive, connector drive, that will be built either with this development or in the future development. It is shown to be in the PUD at 25 foot off our property line with a double lane drive, and it creates a lot of troubles for our neighborhood. I'll show on the boards here, I went out and pulled 25 foot off our property lines, placed stakes along it, went another 24 foot to set stakes for the width of the drive, for a 2-lane drive. I placed my SUV in the eastbound lane of that drive, and this is a visual representation of just how close they are. This drive is to these houses. It promotes a safety hazard for our neighbors, for children. It's a noise issue. Loitering is bound to happen later in the evenings. We already have trouble with people trying to park in the neighborhood just to get to the rock quarry to swim for whatever reason. Lights, traffic, and a loss of property value. This is going to harm our neighbors. This is going to harm our neighborhood. We're just asking for some relief. We do not believe this is absolutely necessary. It's within your power to go away. So what we're requesting is a modification of standard number 7 to eliminate this access requirement altogether. Please, we're pleading with you to not add this burden to our neighborhood.
If you'll wind it up, and I actually want to give these speakers 2 minutes each, just FYI, Angie.
I'm Vicky Krieger. I live at 124 Gosling. This access drive runs right along the property line of my home. I agree with everything Brian said. There's no need for me to read every bullet point again, but it's a security issue. Like when my grandchildren play in the backyard, you could literally just pick them up and take them away with that road running that close. And also, I have one more thing. The garbage is really close to my yard. It's way closer to us than it is to the facility that it serves. So I'm just asking, same thing. We just plead for you to reconsider and remove that whole road there. That it doesn't, I'm not really sure what it's for. So thank you.
There you go.
Hello, I am Dale Bukowski. I'm at 112 Gosling Drive. I'm 3 doors up from Vicky. Just to put it in perspective, I walked where the road will be from my backyard. It's eight paces as I walk to a road. And as Brian said, we have no issues with the In-N-Out Burger campus being there. My understanding is they don't necessarily need the road either. However, their campus will be fenced in and they will have a 24-hour guard. My property has neither. So there will literally be a road 8 paces off my backyard. Anybody will have access to my property at any time if they so choose. We've enjoyed a lot of security where we live. We are close to the interstate, which is an additional concern for me. We're 5 blocks from the interstate. And to Brian's point, to the west of our neighborhood, we have a rock quarry. We already have an issue with young people parking in our yards, in our ditches, and on our roads to access that rock quarry. Again, this development, or the access road, there's not anything to the left, to the west of our neighborhood, except for the entrance to our neighborhood. We're a small neighborhood. We have 68 homes. And I understand the need for connectivity. I understand the need for development. We're all for that. This will connect to nothing but our entrance to our neighborhood and be a tremendous safety issue for us, a privacy issue for us, a noise and light pollution issue for us. And, it really will change the way we live, and to Brian's point, also affect our property values in a very negative way. So again, we would appreciate any consideration in terms of looking at the need for this access road and doing the development without it. So thank you.
Hello, Matt Overfull, 513 Downey Mead Drive. I'm the president of Goose Creek Estates. And have the benefit of having worked very closely with Vernon Girth about 8 years ago and the city council. We have the unique position of being county, so not part of the city, so we appreciate your time. At that time, they were looking to build a second access road from Stream Valley, and there was a right-of-way along our entire neighborhood right to Goose Creek Bypass. The developer didn't want it, we certainly didn't want it, and the city didn't particularly want it, and the city found a way to get that second access for Stream Valley that's obviously still to Lewisburg. I don't view this as terribly significantly different. Approximately 20% of our neighbors would be directly on this road that is proposed. The developers don't particularly want to build it. We certainly don't want it. And it is challenging to see what connectivity it really provides other than bringing Chadwell to the In-N-Out campus. But then, as Dale said, it has an entire road that only leads to a road into our neighborhood. 68 homes, there's nothing else there. It's not a signalized intersection. It's not providing great access to anything else. It doesn't even connect to the twice daily. And so our recommendation would be to remove that for the safety issues that have been identified. And it really doesn't provide any connectivity benefits. Thanks.
Good evening, all. My name is Ron Reed. My wife and I live at 2020 Goose Creek Drive. We're actually the first house on the left when you come in from the highway. So we're going to be gravely affected by this access road that we've been talking about. Our house is the first on the left, and we come into the subdivision. Where my grandkids sleep when they come over to visit with Pop and Lulu, is approximately 33 steps from where that road will be. I want to thank the board for what they've done. I certainly appreciate their time and their energy, and I certainly believe that the service is invaluable. The concerns I have and my wife have about the access road near our property is twofold. My first concern is safety for our grandkids when they come to visit. My second concern has to do with noise and light pollutions, especially when it comes to my grandkids sleeping, because they're going to be really close to that side of the house. We may have to put them in the master bedroom. I would expect headlights to be a significant problem in the evening. Their grands are 5 and 8 years old, and so they go to bed between 8 and 8:30 every night, even in the summertime. In addition, when someone misses the turn to go into this access road from Goose Creek Drive, the next road is my driveway. So I do expect a fair amount of turnarounds at that point. My driveway, most of the time, doesn't get any access to anybody. I mean, nobody turns around my driveway, but I do expect that to happen quite often. There is no doubt in my mind that noise, light pollution, and safety issues are a big problem for this access road that's just barely across the tree line from where we live. I would ask the board to remove this access road from the plan. Thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm Patty Hoyt. I live on 108 Gosling Drive. We've lived there for 26 years, and we've enjoyed a farm field there now. And I came to oppose the road right directly behind our property. I, like Dale, am 8 paces from the road. Like everyone else has expressed, I have security, property value, and pollution, noise pollution, safety, all the same concerns, but I just wanted to make my plea that you would reconsider building the road, and I can't see what purpose it would serve, and nobody has really presented what purpose it would serve, and again, I just wanted to reiterate what everybody else said. Thank you for your consideration.
My name's Jerry Dennis. I live at 136 Gosling Drive, and our house has a distinction and honor of being right where the T would be on the access drive and the road coming in beside of In-N-Out Burger headquarters. So what am I supposed to do every time the lights hit my house, 12 o'clock at night? Just lay there? No, I gotta get up and check and see what's going on. So it doesn't make any sense to have that road back there. You're gonna give kids an opportunity and a place to drag race, cut donuts and do everything. If you don't put up no parking signs, people will be parking back there all the time. Even the tractor and trailers, when they can't park up at the truck stop, they're gonna use that when they find it. And it would just, I just don't understand why, really don't. Thank you for your time, appreciate y'all's service.
I'll exercise some liberty as far as the applicants, because they may need to answer and explain some things. So who's first, Mr. Gamble or Mr. Finnegan?
Good evening, Mayor, Alderman, staff. My name is Sean Finnegan, Department Head at In-N-Out Burger. I'm joined also by Matt Rigg and Jeff Bryant with In-N-Out Burger. As we previously heard from our Vice President, Rob Howards, we remain very excited to have chosen Franklin as our location for our Eastern headquarters. We feel strongly that the In-N-Out culture itself fits and resonates well also with the culture of the city of Franklin. Shifting to our proposed project, in addition to the nearly 300 construction jobs that come with developing our site, we also plan on having and proposing about 300 permanent In-N-Out jobs to the city of Franklin. Though we're asking for the rezoning to be a planned district, we've tried hard to work within the neighborhood commercial zoning requirements themselves. We do recognize, and as you heard, our neighbors were here first. because of that, we've worked hard from the very beginning with all of our neighbors, and we've come up with a list of 9 items that we've already committed to. We'd be happy to go into more detail of those items if need be. And lastly, it's important to note that we're also committing to working with our neighbors during the design of the landscape, the screening, and the lighting that's going to occur all along that whole property boundary edge. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions you might have on the rezoning as well. I'll give it over to Greg Gamble.
Thank you, Mayor and Alderman. My name is Greg Gamble, representing the applicant In-N-Out Burger. And we have had several meetings with representatives from the neighborhood. We've not had a chance to meet with all of the neighbors unless they were a part of our neighborhood meeting very early on. But there was a focus group, a kind of neighborhood leadership that we were in contact with, and we did meet and had conversations with them on several occasions to talk about concerns in the neighborhood. One of our big concerns has been cross-connectivity. The zoning ordinance states internal vehicular circulation shall be designed to provide cross-access to each adjacent property, unless the DRT, Design Review Team, waives the requirement due to topographic constraints, which we don't have any on this particular property, natural features, or other vehicular safety factors, again, which we don't have. In-N-Out Burger owns and plans to retain the property that's directly to the west of the proposed design campus. We don't have plans for that today. But when those plans evolve and when they're designed, then In-N-Out Burger will be required to redesign and relocate Goose Creek Estates entrance to align it with the signalized intersection on Goose Creek. This intersection is signalized, and then over here at Berry Farms Chadwell is signalized. So we have 3 signalized intersections. Because of the requirement of the zoning ordinance, we have to have connectivity from Berry Farms to eventually Goose Creek Estates Drive. That's what we're talking about. That's the interconnectivity. There are no expectations that we have vehicular connectivity to every single homeowner on Goose Creek Estates. So it's really just these larger undeveloped properties. We have 2 other zoning requirements that are also important. Number 1 is that the office building and the restaurant must front onto Goose Creek bypass. In neighborhood commercial district, there's a range of 10 to 40 feet that is the front setback for these buildings. Now, this is a planned district, and the reason it's a planned district is that we are asking for some special consideration on some unique design elements for the parking lot, for building material, for signage, but not to these major zoning criterias as far as interconnectivity, road alignment, and parking location. Parking location is required to be to the rear or the side of the building. We can't have the access road coming between the parking and the building because we have to be able to accommodate the handicapped ADA accessible routes into the building from the parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's a bit complicated, maybe because of the size and the shape of the property, but maybe because of the interconnectivity requirements that we have been working to do our best to accommodate several different components of the zoning ordinance and not just one. In Chapter 8, it talks about the transitional buffer requirements, not just for neighborhood commercial, but for a development plan as well. In this, it identifies a Zone 1 buffer. The Zone 1 buffer is 25 feet. Within that Zone 1 buffer, In-N-Out Burger is required to plant 5 canopy trees at 50% evergreen, 50% deciduous. 5 understory trees at 50% evergreen, 50% deciduous, and 60 shrubs at 75% evergreen every 100 linear feet. Now, one of the 9 commitments is that they're going to go ahead and do that with the construction of the office for the entire length of this proposed property so that it becomes established. We have another modification of standards that asks that these yellow portions of road be delayed until adjacent development occurs, either here on the In-N-Out property or on the Berry Farms property, one or the other. And why are we asking you to do that? We don't want this to be attractive to nuisance. We don't want this to be a hangout area. We don't want a road to nowhere constructed on either side that really doesn't have eyes on it, that doesn't have people who are driving up and down that road so they can put eyes on it to see. So we want to delay that. That's a part of the modification of standards. In-N-Out Burger would like to commit tonight to the city of Franklin and to our neighbors that the landscape along this edge, that in the 25 feet, be 100% evergreen. So that the canopy trees are evergreen, the shrubs are evergreen, the understory trees that are planted are evergreen, and that's a significant landscape buffer. That's not, it's very intentional by the city of Franklin within a 25-foot zone where you have commercial adjacent to residential, that you have an intense landscape area there to create that buffer. Our civil engineers have been able to design a grading plan where that 25-foot buffer is left alone. And that's important because there are existing trees along the property, not everywhere. We want to make sure that we're not damaging those tree roots and damaging the root zones through there. We have a lot of different issues that we're trying to work with. When In-N-Out Burger wrote the 9 commitments that deal with parking lot lighting, landscaping, that deal with screening of light pollution, they did it because they wanted to be a good neighbor to residents who already have established homes. This property was identified as neighborhood commercial in Envision Franklin when it was first drafted in 2016. This is not new. It was rezoned to neighborhood commercial in 2020, just 4 years ago. If this property is developed as commercial, these items don't change, these issues don't change. You might have more of a back-of-house alley where retail goods are delivered and drop-offs are made to, a general store, market, or something like that. But the parking requirement to be in the back or on the side of the building doesn't change. The building frontage requirements on the Goose Creek bypass are the same, are consistent with what we're showing in our plan. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comments? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I move for approval.
And right now, we're just looking at the plan. I'm sorry, we're not looking at the development plan.
No, we're just looking at the rezoning.
Rezone.
This is, we have a motion to approve the rezoning. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the vice mayor. Any discussion by the board? Alderman Byrd.
I would just comment on, I appreciate everybody's comments, absolutely bringing forth the concerns, and I think the applicant has done a good job addressing a lot of those. I 100% agree with the evergreen buffer on that. And I know we're just talking about zoning right now, so we're not talking about development, but I do want to say that I think that you're headed in the right direction with this. I have a specific area in my ward that we had commercial, and it buffered up against condos and residential. And we had 100% evergreen put in there. This was after the fact, way after the fact. And it reduced the noise, the pollution, the light, everything. Children couldn't even run through it. They'd have to weave their way through it to get on the other side. But I wanted to say one thing. If we have a policy of connectivity, I know this board struggles with that, but we have a policy of connectivity. We need to start paying attention to our connectivity, because when growth is happening and future, like I believe you said you would delay that road until the connectivity was there. And once that happens, we are so dead in the water, so to speak, when we don't have the connectivity. And down the road, years to come, that connectivity policy that we have is there for a reason, and we need to start paying attention to it a lot more. We need to follow our policies. There's a reason for that requirement. And just like in my area, there's connectivity, but the buffer, the 100% evergreen, gave a buffer, gave screening, buffered all the lighting, and took care of the entire problem. And you can't even see the commercial at all. So I just wanted to offer that, considering the comments that were made tonight. Thank you.
Alderman Blunt.
I just would ask if the applicant, you mentioned the 9 commitments you have, can you share those so they
Absolutely. I
are
have
on
printed copies
record?
out if you'll let me just give one
I just
second.
think that would be important, if that's all right, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Or if Mr. Finnegan wants to do it, since he's the one making the promises. I don't know if he heard me. If Mr. Finnegan wants to read them, since it's his company making the promises.
With permission from the mayor to reopen on the comments to be addressed. I won't go through every single one, they're passing them out here, but I want to summarize them. Okay. In-N-Out will control the time the dumpster pickup within reason and as applicable with the contracted vendor, such that the noise from the loading to pickup is not early in the morning or late in the evening. To maximum extent possible, pending construction staging, we'll install the Goose Creek Estates boundary landscape during our first phase of construction. Speed humps or speed tables will be installed on the southern boundary private drive once the drive is fully built out. As we mentioned, that's fully built out when you get the other western half to be developed. In-N-Out will install parking lot lighting that will be shielded from the neighbors. Number 5, In-N-Out will install internally illuminated In-N-Out logo sign on the southern facade of the restaurant facing Goose Creek Estates.
I think you said they will not,
Not.
right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Will
You
not.
said they will not. You
Number
missed
5,
an
In-N-Out
important word in that one.
we will not install.
Yeah, you said
Thank
we will
you. We
install.
will install. We're not going to go backwards on that one. We're not going to install that one. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Number 6, In-N-Out has filed a motion for the standards for halo lighting signage, so to follow up with that.
Yeah.
Number 7, In-N-Out intends to locate inner property landscape and/or screening logistically to minimize the vehicular headlights facing south towards the estates. In-N-Out intends to study the installation of the screening along the southern border, as I mentioned before, to help with limiting the visual light pollution from the estates. And number 9, In-N-Out intends to provide 24-hour security for the whole property of the campus.
Thank you, Mr. Finnegan.
Thank you.
I do have a question on the security, or may I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, we're on the,
We're just on the rezoning.
We're not
I'll wait for the development plan.
Very good. Thank you.
All right.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Potts.
Thank you, sir. First, I want to thank the applicant for being transparent since day one on where we are right now. This has been a very, as all of the residents said, they've been forthcoming with information. And in those challenging spots, this is one of the few developers that actually has really tried to bend over backwards to meet the neighborhood requests. A lot of times that's not required. Well, it's not required, number one. But, so I just wanted to, acknowledge what the residents had said and also say this. So I was going to ask Mr. Gamble if he could, as you were talking about making the commitment for 100% evergreen now. That's a huge change, as Alderman Berger was just speaking to, but what is the time frame for planting that? I know that's a question that we've talked about a little bit regarding the access road, when all of that might go in.
Sure. The only portion of the access road that would be constructed with the office would be the north-south road and this portion here to connect to the back, the rear of the parking lot.
Turn down.
And turn it this way too.
So it would be this portion here and then the north-south portion. That is all that would be constructed with the office building. With the office building and the parking lot construction, there will be installation of irrigation. Once the irrigation is installed, then the landscape would be installed from the property line all the way to the edge of the property line on this side. So it would be the entire length, and that would go ahead and be established now, even though not all of the drive.
And if we say now, and if this were to move forward as it is right now, that time frame is going to allow for Bottom line is, this is in the first phase of what you're doing, and so all of these evergreens are going to be able to take plant, grow, and really fill in, as Alderman Berger and others have stated, to decrease that light pollution right there.
Bottom line is it's going to be done in the first phase.
Thank you very much. And then also, along those same lines, because I know I brought this question to you as well, those residents that are concerned if the name of the landscape company could be provided to them so that they could get similar, if not the same, type of evergreens to maybe thicken their property if they so chose to do so. That would be a request that I would have for the residents as well, because that's part of the light pollution, noise pollution, as we've been speaking to that. I think that would also address some of
Sure.
their
We've committed
emails.
to working with them through that design process as well.
Perfect. I think the last thing that I have here, as far as the rezoning that's been brought up, you've addressed what the purpose of the road is. One more piece, and I don't know if this is for zoning, for design, but Vicky Krieger had the question about the garbage bin being located closer to her property rather than, the property itself. So that may be a question that goes into the next agenda
Okay.
item.
Happy to address that in the next item.
Okay. Any other comments?
I might just make one comment that I have also another example I live by, right across the street from a Publix, and they have a loading dock in the back, and we were able to get the company to put up $18,000 more of evergreens, and it shielded the noise, all the lights, the loading dock, and the garbage, or the trash compactor that comes and they pick up every morning, or every other morning, and the noise went way down, so we were able to mitigate all those things. And that was not an easy task, because we weren't sure that that would do the trick. But it took a few years, but that was already built. So, that they were putting this in after the Publix was established, not while they were building. So I would tell you that I would think that as soon as the weather is correct to put trees in, either early spring, late fall, or whatever, make sure that that gets in right away so it has time to grow, and that you put substantial trees in that will be, 4 or 5 feet tall already. Okay, thank you.
Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 7. This is a public hearing, consideration resolution 2024-08, a resolution approving a development plan for Goose Creek Bypass PUD subdivision with 14, yes, I said 14, modification of development standards. And I'll let Joey talk about all of those.
So I have my water.
Good, me too.
The applicant has submitted a development plan for the Goose Creek Bypass PUD subdivision that proposes a one-story restaurant building with drive-through window service and a 3-story office building totaling 96,000 square feet of non-residential space. Envision Franklin places this property in the neighborhood commercial design concept. While the proposed plan meets many of the recommendations for the neighborhood commercial design concept that I went over in the previous item, the proposed site layout of the development plan and standalone drive-through restaurant is in direct conflict with the policy of Envision Franklin, and therefore staff must recommend disapproval of the development plan. But like a previous item, this site may not lend itself to this particular policy in Envision Franklin due to the context, location of the site, and the established uses across Goose Creek Bypass. So there are 14 modification of standard requests in this plan that address building design, primary materials, signage, and fencing. The following is the list of MOS requests included in the application and staff's recommendations for each one, should the development plan be approved. So MOS number 1 is requesting to modify the commercial mixed-use building ground floor height to 10 feet. This standard is to create, or is used to create, a vertical articulation for one-story buildings. The applicant has added additional architectural elements such as towers to the design to help accentuate the overall height and meet the intent of the ground floor height regulation. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 1. MOS number 2 is requesting to increase standard drive aisle width to 28 feet. Staff is comfortable with the additional 4 feet in width proposed by the applicant. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 2. MOS number 3 is requesting to allow gable and pitched roofs on commercial mixed-use buildings. The proposed gable and pitched roof forms on the building help accentuate the vertical articulation of the building and help provide a transition in architecture to the adjacent residential neighborhoods. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 3. MOS number 4 is a request to allow window recesses of 2.5 inches for the drive-through window and 1 inch for the kitchen window. The applicant has indicated that the only windows with the proposed modification are for the drive-through window and kitchen windows that will be screened or underneath the drive-through colonnade. So staff can support the request due to the limited view of the windows. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 4. MOS number 5 is requesting to alter standards for monument signage. The applicant is requesting to increase the maximum height for monument signage to 7.5 feet, add stucco as a primary material, and increase the overall height to 8.5 feet above the street center line. The exhibits supplied by the applicant show that the proposed height and location of the sign still meet the intent of the ordinance by maintaining a pedestrian-friendly scale. The sign design also incorporates masonry into the base of the sign, so the addition of stucco in this limited capacity can be supported. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 5. MOS number 6 is requesting to allow wall signs to be located above the roof line of the uppermost floor. Given the tower element on the restaurant building, the wall signs would not appear to be spaced correctly with substantial empty space above the sign, so staff can support this request but are limited to the wall signs specified in the development plan. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 6. MOS number 7 is requesting to defer connection of cross-access between adjacent properties until they are developed. Section 9.5.3A of the ordinance states that internal vehicular circulation shall be designed to provide cross-access to each adjacent property. The applicant has shown that cross-access between the eastern and western parcels is included in the plan. However, they have requested to defer construction of the drive aisles until those properties are developed. Staff can support this request provided that the applicant plat easements for those future connections with a recorded final plat. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 7 with conditions. MOS number 8 is requesting to allow for irregular shaped signage. Irregularly shaped signs have been approved with previous MOS requests, and the shape of the In-N-Out Burger logo is a difficult design to fit into a regular shaped sign and still have prominence. So staff recommends approval of MOS number 8. MOS number 9 is requesting to use halo-style signage. While no halo-style lighting has been allowed in the past, the applicant is limiting the halo lighting request to solid white that is not overly bright. Granting halo-style lighting with the MOS may set a precedent for future requests, so keep that in mind. But staff is considering a future ordinance update to permit this style of lighting with certain regulations in a future zoning ordinance update. So staff can recommend approval of MOS number 9. MOS number 10 is requesting to allow stucco as a primary material for the commercial mixed-use building type. Section 6.8 of the ordinance limits primary materials for commercial mixed-use buildings to brick, natural stone, cultured stone, smooth wood siding, or fiber cement siding. Stucco is not included in this list as it is not an established primary material that one would find in the city of Franklin or the Middle Tennessee region. Stucco can be used as an accent material under the current zoning ordinance regulations. Staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 10. MOS number 11 is requesting to allow stucco as a primary material for the office building type, similar to MOS number 10. Section 6.9 does not allow or include stucco as a primary material, as it is not an established material you would find in the city or the region. Stucco, as before, can be used as an accent material. Staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 11.
Take a drink of water.
I lost my place.
He's almost done.
We're on,
You're on 12.
We're on 12. Final stretch. MOS number 12, request to remove the requirement of a defined base for the office building type. In section 6.9 of the ordinance for horizontal articulation for the office building type requires that a building shall have a base, middle, and cap. The applicant is requesting to limit the removal of a base to the portions that have stucco treatment. However, as they are requesting that stucco be a primary material, that it would be a substantial amount of the building and therefore cannot be supported by staff. Staff recommends a disapproval of MOS number 12. MOS number 13 is requesting to increase front yard fencing maximum height to 6 feet. The applicant has provided exhibits to show that additional plantings and berms will help conceal the fencing and the additional height. Given the additional landscaping and proposed location of the fencing, staff can support this request. Staff recommends approval of MOS 13. MOS 14 is requesting to remove required masonry columns for commercial fencing. The applicant has provided exhibits to show additional plantings and berm will help conceal the fencing and the additional height. Given this information and the design plan, the proposed location of the fencing and masonry columns may bring more attention to the taller fence. Staff can support this request and recommends approval of MOS number 14. As a quick recap, staff is recommending approval of everything, all the MOSs except for 10, 11, and 12.
Excuse me, is that what the planning commission did also?
They recommended approval. I'm getting to that, but yes.
Yeah, okay.
So staff, we are recommending to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to deny Resolution 2024-08 due to the development plan not being in compliance with Envision Franklin with the drive-through use standalone building. However, as stated in this presentation, if the BOMA finds that the site does not lend itself to this particular policy, then you may wish to recommend approval. Planning Commission did recommend approval of the overall resolution and all 14 of the modification of standards. Happy to answer any questions.
And the planning commission recommended all 14.
Yes.
What was that?
The Planning Commission recommended all 14 modifications of standards. So I will.
For approval, I'll specify that.
For approval, yeah.
For approval. You know, there were several people signed up to talk on all 3 items on this, and I will give an opportunity for 1 minute if desired, but otherwise I'd like to continue to proceed on and ask for a motion to approve. So I don't see anybody that wants to jump up. So.
There is.
The applicant also.
Yeah, I do have the
Plus the
applicant
applicant.
coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, they do.
Come on back, and you have 1 minute.
Thank you for the opportunity. Again, Dale Bukowski at 112 Gosling. We were talking about the landscape buffer and all the evergreens. There's an existing line of pines on our property line. The pines are planted right on the property line, so they extend onto this property. Some of the branches, and Mr. Davis's illustrations show you, some of the branches on the existing pines go right up to where where the new road will be. There's not room for a large buffer in addition to what we already have. And our trees certainly don't offer light protection and any sound protection because these are mature pines. These are 50-foot pines, but the lower branches do extend out, which does not leave at just 25 feet of this buffer for additional planting to happen. So that's my main concern. So I don't know if they're going to come in and cut off the backs of the trees to plant this new buffer, or how they plan to include all of these new trees where ours already exist. That's a main concern for me. Thank you.
Leanne Cates, 2024 Goose Creek Drive. Thank you for your time this evening. One of the things that I was not quite sure I was understanding was this buffer going to be, I agree with you, what you said about the 100% evergreen, makes it thicker, harder to get through, all that. But is that buffer going to be on the north side of that road, on outside of their property, or is it going to be on the south side of that road? If it's on the south side, then Mr. Bukowski's point stands, and because it can affect the trees along that back side, as well as it still isn't giving us any protection from hooligans, for lack of a better word. Just kids are going to be kids. gonna be running up and down the roads in their cars and, dare I say, other elements of society maybe that we've been protected from up to this point. The police aren't gonna, that's gonna be county, probably. I don't know, will it be county or city at that point?
City.
It'll be City, okay. So the city police, are they gonna really police that area for us if we're county? Are they gonna care about us because we're county and they're city? So just something to think about again with that road. Thank you.
I'm Vicki Krieger, 124 Gosling Drive. I have the same question where the buffer is. Is it on the north side of the road or the south side?
South.
Okay, there isn't room for that much.
Well,
We're not answering questions, we're taking comments, Vicki.
Okay. Well, I just asked that you reconsider.
Yeah, we appreciate those comments.
My name's Patty Hoyt, on 108 Gosling Drive. As I said before, I've lived there 26 years. And one thing I failed to mention was when my good neighbors went out and marked that with stakes and they actually put a car, 25 feet is not even from this end to that end, where we would have a road where nobody would police it. It goes just directly from one end to the entrance, and it's probably a mile or a mile and a half. It really leads you to our entrance, which we already have an entrance. So anyway, and I was going to say too, that buffer would be on the opposite side of the road, so we would have zero buffer except for one tree line. And it's a little bit different than like it being incorporated into the subdivision. It would be at the outside of our subdivision, which, maybe people would be more careful if they were inside the subdivision and they saw sidewalks and things like that, but we will have nothing like that. So anyway, I was going to say 25 feet is not much, and it really enlightened me when I went out and looked at it physically, because pictures really don't do it justice. My words don't do it justice. I mean, it is really that close to our property line. So thank you for your time.
Mr. Davis, I'm going to let you speak, but when you finish, pick up your exhibit, please.
You're all through with my visuals.
They're really excellent, but
Yeah. Brian Davis, 115 Gosling. I want to point out what some of the neighbors were talking about.
It's over here. Yeah.
This property line, as it
You have to stand by the mic.
Yeah, stand behind it.
This property line, it stands in the 25-foot setback to the edge of the drive. That's the trees they're talking about. The trees are on the Goose Creek Estates side, and I appreciate the 100% evergreen, truly do. I appreciate no drive a lot better, but that's what happened. So in order to get a 5, 6, 7-foot buffer in there, we're going to have to be cutting out some of the trees. As he said, some of these are 30, 40, 50 foot tall. So we have an already existing stand that's going to have to be modified just to accomplish that. As to, yes, there are interconnectivity standards, but we've already had 14 modifications, so one more is not going to break the bank, I don't think. Please do not require this access drive. Thank you.
Mr. Finnegan, Mr. Gamble.
Yes, hi, and Greg Gamble, representing In-N-Out Burger tonight, the applicant. Yes, all of the modification of standards that we've proposed were recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. From really, I think the very first presentations of the architecture for In-N-Out Burger, they presented architectural elevations really that were dominated by stucco, even for the office building. Since those presentations, they have been back to the drawing board several times. The elevation of the office building is intended to be a 2-story brick facade along Goose Creek bypass. It has recessed portions that are 2.5 and 3 stories that sit back beyond, more on the interior courtyards. Where they have access from the parking lot, they would like to have some stucco facades. Along the rear and on the interior courtyards, they would like to have stucco facades. When we talk about a modification of standards to eliminate the base on the office building architectural type, we're talking about that application only applying to the stucco walls. but does not apply to any of the brick walls. So the building foundations that the public sees from Goose Creek Bypass and from the restaurant are going to have that architectural foundation required by code, plus the brick elevations. The stucco is really more internalized. It's really more for the In-N-Out Burger employees and those who are visiting the office from that side. We are asking for the use of authentic stucco for both the restaurant and the office. These are not franchised buildings. These are buildings that are owned by In-N-Out Burger. These are buildings that are their, not only their front door, but these are the buildings that are going to represent In-N-Out Burger for the entire area of our nation east of the Mississippi River. They want them to be spectacular, which means that the care, the maintenance, the use, the application of stucco, the authentic stucco on these buildings is going to be done with the skill necessary to have a long-lasting product. There was concern, and it was written into our zoning ordinance in, I think, 2009, that authentic stucco needed to be a prohibited material. We've come a long way since then. Our technology's come a long way since then. And In-N-Out Burger can certainly answer more questions about their maintenance routine, their how it's installed, if y'all need more information on that. I will say regarding this buffer, the 25 feet, it's not an arbitrary number. It came straight out of the zoning ordinance. The 25 feet Zone 1 buffer landscape requirement is intense. It does take into consideration that there may be additional, trees that are on the property line, but it's intended to be an intense landscape buffer. We've installed this buffer before. This applicability has been in place since 2020 when the zoning ordinance was first written. There's predictability in this with city staff and design consultants when we use this prescription for this buffer. So happy to answer any questions on that. And Alderman Potts, at the appropriate time, Sean Finnegan would like to answer your question about the dumpster.
Thank you. Go ahead and ask. Yeah.
Greg, quick question on that access. You showed on one of the maps, you showed two access roads, one midway through the development, one on the backside. Very small property you're connecting to over there on the other side over here. Go this way. See, you got another one up. What, isn't that another access?
Yes.
Cross access. So what, to what extent do we need two cross accesses going?
Because you have a light up there.
You see what I'm saying? You're cross-accessing from the back and from midway through the development plan. Why do we need two cross-accesses?
Okay, so the office parcel will be on its own property. The restaurant is going to be on its own property. And so every time these commercial properties are created, they have to have interconnectivity in between them. So when we have two parcels here, we're required to have an off-site connection from the office property and an off-site connection from the restaurant parcel.
Yeah.
That's how it's been interpreted and explained to us by staff on the zoning ordinance.
I have a question too. I have one question, Mr. Mayor.
We don't have a motion yet. I did, Vice Mayor asked if he could ask Mr. Gamble a question, and I allowed it.
And I also
And,
have
if it's a question to him,
to the
go ahead, but
applicant.
I'm eager to get to the
Real
motion.
quick, so
Don't say quick,
is
please.
there, well, it's going to be very quick, because my question is there enough room to put that buffering zone of all evergreens, and is it on the south side? That was quick.
It is on the south side, and based upon
the
the
road.
surveyed information that our surveyor has collected for us, we believe there's sufficient room for the landscape planning that's prescribed in the zoning ordinance.
Well, and
not,
also
can-
too, that existing tree line, the pond does not go all the way down. Like 124 Gosling doesn't have that. They have little nubbies.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
It's the only one.
Yeah. Is there a motion?
move for approval.
Second. Second by
Doing-
Alderman Potts.
All right.
Okay, we now have this, and we're ready to move forward on voting on the modifications of standards. We'll vote on each modification of standard and then go back to the original motion with
Yep.
whatever you've
do that.
approved or
And-
disapproved as far as the modification of standards.
Okay.
We can't discuss the whole item before we jump into modifications.
I was going to say, I have a motion to, on the, on the road. But-
We have a motion already.
so
Well,
we'll
that'll
do
be modification of standard
First.
7 is the road, Alderman
get to it.
Peterson. So that would be when you would opine or do whatever you're going to do. Modification of standard 7. So if it's fine with you, we're going to start out with modification of standard 1, which is restaurants, section 6.8, commercial mixed-use building, ground floor height changed to 10 feet. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Vice Mayor got that one? So any discussion on modification standard 1? Seeing none, we're going to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Modification standard 2 is parking and transit. Standard drive aisles with change to 28 feet. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by
Second.
Alderman Berger, seconded by Alderman Potts. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that a no?
It was yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, for me.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Am I correct in saying everybody voted yes? Okay. That passes unanimously. Modification standard number 3 is commercial and mixed-use building allow for gable and pitched roofs. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Vice Mayor, second by Alderman Berger. Any discussion on that one? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Modification standard number 4 is commercial mixed-use building, window opening, allow window recesses of 2.5 inches for drive-through window and 1 inch for windows in the kitchen under the drive-through colonnade. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Potts.
Second.
Second by Alderman Berger. I think I actually saw a nodding head,
Yeah.
but I don't usually recognize a
No,
nodding head.
I'll vocalize, Mayor, if
Yeah,
I want a second.
yeah. That's kind of like a
You gotta jump in.
bobblehead
Yeah.
doll.
You
you
Gotta
know?
jump in with this
Okay, I'm
crowd.
sorry, I'm
was addressed to
digressing.
me.
So is there any discussion on modification standard 4? If not, let's vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes, and we're voting on.
Modification standard
That's what-
4,
That's, just want to make sure.
which is the drive-through window
Gotcha.
setback and the kitchen window setback.
Sure.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice
Yes.
Mayor Brown, Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
And to clarify, Alderman Peterson, was that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Item number 5 is monument sign allow maximum monument sign height of 7.5 feet, the addition of authentic stucco material, and overall monument height of 8.5 feet above the street's center line. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Alderman Berger.
Second.
Second, Alderman Barnhill.
Is that with conditions, with staff conditions as suggested in the resolution?
It was for the 7.5.
Allow a sign height of 7.5 feet, the addition of authentic stucco material, and overall monument height of 8.5 feet above the center
Correct.
line.
Yes, move for approval.
And so
Are the conditions what planning commission approved?
Yes.
With conditions, recommended, I mean?
They said
So are
they
we
did.
clear?
They said they did.
Move with conditions.
Yeah, move with conditions.
Everybody, second fine? Okay, any discussion? Ready to
Sorry,
vote?
need that clarified.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes, excuse me.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 6 is signage, wall signage. Allow wall signs to be located above the main roof line of the uppermost full story. Is there a motion?
Move for approval, my turn.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Let's go in the reverse order. Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 7, which is the cross-access between adjacent properties, the request to delay installation of that road.
Move for approval,
Let me get a clarification before you.
defer, oh.
So
was
am I
gonna
saying that, where's Joey? Am I saying that correctly?
To defer.
Cross-access between adjacent properties, they're requesting a delay until
A
the.
delay until further construction that warrants
Perfect.
connection.
Okay,
I
so
move-
Alderman Berger.
Yeah, I move for approval to defer the connection of cross-access between the adjacent properties until they are developed.
Everybody clear? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Barnhill. Any question? Alderman Peterson, I'll recognize you.
I think that we need to remove that. That just does not need to be right there on
That's not
the property line of the people from, in Goose Creek Estates. There's really.
Are you making an amendment to the original motion?
I'm talking about it and I'm.
Are you going to make a motion?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna-
discussing.
The motion,
Are you going to make an amendment to the motion? Or are you just addressing?
No, well, I guess the amendment to the motion would be to remove the construction of the additional east-west.
Is there a second? Would you like to, is there any second?
I'll second.
Would you like to address your
Yeah,
reasoning now?
yes, I would, because as I say, it is right there on, so close to the property lines of the people who live in Goose Creek Estates. And you, as you saw some pictures there, they do have some trees out there right now, and they would be required to be probably removed for that. And there's no way to really add any extra, there's no way to add enough additional trees to make this not be very, very difficult for the people whose lots back up to it in Goose Creek Estates.
Okay, there was appropriate motion second. Anybody else want to speak to it? I'll recognize Alderman Potts, then Alderman Berger, then the Vice Mayor.
Thank you. And I need to ask a question, and I think you may need to address it, sir. But if I'm understanding it correct, that we're talking about the access road, and you're wanting to remove it, but according to our requirements, the developer has to have this access point or access road.
Well, wait, it doesn't mean
think
that
he's
it has
addressing, Jeff.
to be.
Hold on, I just need the answer.
Sure.
So is that accurate?
Yes, because the development is in 2 lots, each lot would have to have access points to all adjacent properties. So because the southern properties are already established residential lots, we would not connect to them, but there would be a required east and west access point for both the lot with the restaurant and the lot with the office.
And this is not something that the developer submitted that they wanted to do. This is something the city requires.
It does require, and that is where the developer placed that road to meet our requirements.
To meet our requirements. Okay.
Well, let me remind you, that's kind of the same thing as the connections that people are talking about in some of the other things that we just discussed tonight. Same, because it says everywhere that it needs to be connected, there needs to be connections in the stuff on Berry's Chapel, and so in other words, because that says that that the city expects that, doesn't mean that it has to be built.
Any other discussion? I was going to recognize Alderman Berger, then the Vice Mayor.
nope, That's the question I had. I think it's a requirement, so I'm good.
I understand it's a requirement, I get connection.
Yeah.
Where I'm struggling, and I appreciate the fact that you're deferring, so it's not going to exist. I think a lot of the challenges were around the idea of what's going to happen with this road just sitting there. It's not going to exist until there is a development, and then therefore it's being utilized. So I think that addresses some of that concern. But I got to be honest with you, I'm really struggling with the idea that just because this is the way this is laid out with two different lots, you got to have two different access points for what is the acreage on that piece of property right there. It just seems like a lot of overkill just because of the semantics of having two lots. Surely we could look at that as a collective whole and figure out a way to create one. I understand why we need two roads going across that property. It seems like we could drop that one off the backside for the courtesy of the neighbors and keep the connection point off that other lot, and we're still cross-connecting over to their main drive and across that property. You're not going to, if you develop that other property, you're going to really run two roads across it? It just seems like overkill to me. I don't know if you guys have an opinion. Do you really want the back road? Is it, you're just doing it because you have to? I don't know.
And I have,
I'll have a comment.
Alderman,
I've got Alderman Caesar, and then I'll go to you, Alderman
and
Baggett.
Vice Mayor, respectfully, I would disagree because just connecting the front parcel doesn't connect to the property on the other side. It connects them back to Goose Creek. I don't love the fact that the road, based on how we've laid out this property, is so close to the neighbors, but it's still on the property owner's property. I do believe that they will do their best to install the screening on the back. I do also agree that nobody wants to put in a road that's not going to be utilized for 5, 10, 15, or 25 years. However, by removing that, I have a question about serviceability of the existing corporate headquarters. How are you going to get in and out for if there's a massive fire or if there's a significant threat on that property if you only have one way in and you don't have an access road at the back? And then how are you also going to service the property for things like trash or waste or other development or other kind of business operations that need to happen that don't want to come through the front door? And so for that reason, I would be not in support of your motion, Alderman Peterson, but not because it's a bad motion. I think it's just not right now for us to disallow this because of what potentially 20 years or 30 years from now, when these other parcels are developed, I think we might look back and say, gosh, I wish we would have had some way to get from left to right or east to west.
well, you have to hit the fire.
Alderman Baggett, you're recognized.
So this is a tough one because the road, I think, and I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I think everyone agrees that, or I would think a majority would agree that this road is going to have traffic issues. I'm talking about the road, Goose Creek, is going to have traffic issues, and that cross connectivity is a good thing. I think it's just like where it is the problem. So I think.
Where it is. You're right. Where it is the problem.
Yeah, and so we have heard the complexities of the layout of the plan, the requirement for parking be behind and beside, and listen, we've kind of been pigeonholed, we meaning like us as a board and the applicant, at where this thing can go. So it sounds almost like there's a solution here that, the evergreens, and then also, any other options that the applicant might have. I don't know if you've thought of any other options, mitigation options, in addition to landscaping. Mayor, I see Greg's nodding his head. If there's anything else.
Greg, me?
Mayor.
Seems like our board wants to hear from you.
Or Mr. Finnegan.
They're trying to avoid voting, I think.
We're trying to find a solution, Mayor.
Mayor, Alderman Baggett, we're very sympathetic to this as well. We've met with the neighbors multiple times. We've discussed this internally. We did come up with the idea of going full evergreen in that border, or in that boundary of 25 feet, if you will. What I'm hearing from the neighbors and the board is to try to come up with a solution or a compromise, if you will, if the road's there. What we're willing to do is commit to a fence of some sort along that boundary, because that seems to be what I'm hearing here tonight.
Yeah.
And if that's more of a solid barrier, if you will, that would be something we could commit to.
I think that's great, and I was kind of hoping that's where that would go, because you're going to have 24-hour security. right, on the campus. And I think one thing I am very empathetic with the neighbors is again, if it is this kind of back drive aisle, and I know your commitment to security, you're gonna have 24-hour security there. I'm sure there'll be cameras on the parking lots, and you're gonna have someone there at all hours of the night, apparently. I'm sure they'll have some time to walk or drive, back to the back and make sure things are fine there too. So it's actually kind of enhanced, in my opinion, the security side of things. I don't have a 24-hour security person in my backyard, but not that I want one. I'm just saying that is, if it's going to be there. What'd you say?
It's getting late.
Oh, my God.
Thank you for proffering that solution to provide a fence. If there are any other comments, I would.
To be clear, that fence, because there may be questions, would be in that 25-foot buffer.
Sure. And mixed in with the evergreens.
I would think that if we take out the road, we're going to probably have to wrestle with our fire department as well, and go back to that. We may even have to go back to planning commission if we did that, I don't know. But, and I don't see this being as a high traffic area, honest, I don't see how that can be a high traffic area.
Well, those kids found that quarry too, and I've never seen it, so.
Yeah.
I just,
Go ahead.
if I may, and Patrick, what I meant was not that be quick, it was like you're not finding your words because it's getting late. That wasn't offensive. Like I am right now.
It's getting late.
No, I think, the buffer to me seemed like the next step to try to solve this, and actually met with the applicant to discuss a buffer and extending it to 100%. But I think initially you think, well, if it comes later, then it's going to be a more subtle transition, but you're at one point, if this road goes in, it's going to be there. The fence and the promise of that is a new opportunity that's on the table that I know that was kind of like, that's a big different deal. I think a fence is a game changer, and I saw a lot of heads nodding. I know your public comment portion is over, but I think when you couple the buffer vegetation-wise with a fence, it's the best you can ask for when we have the responsibility to have connectivity for life safety and other things. So, Ms. Ann, I appreciate you saying let's pull it out, but I think that we've got to support our public safety too and making sure there's access.
Are you ready to vote on the amendment as proposed by Alderman Peterson, which would remove the cross-access road? If so, Alderman Barnhill.
No.
Alderman Blanton.
No.
Alderman Caesar.
No.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
No.
Vice Mayor Brown.
No.
Alderman Potts.
No.
And Alderman Baggett.
No.
The amendment fails. We'll go back to the original motion of modification of standard number 7. Any further discussion on it? Are you ready to vote?
Do we need to attach these?
Mr. Brown. Sorry, Mayor, to interrupt. We are happy with a condition of approval added to this that is not added by staff, that requires evergreen landscaping and the addition of a fence.
All right. I will modify my motion to add the evergreen and the fencing.
100%.
100% evergreen buffer and the fence as worked out with planning.
Do you want to make sure that's not a see-through fence?
Who seconded
I
that
don't.
original
They have to
motion
work
from
that out.
Alderman Burt?
Alderman Barnhill.
Are you
Yep.
fine with the rewording of her original motion?
Absolutely.
Everything good? All right, you ready to vote?
Mayor, could I ask a question on that
Sure.
motion? I'm just curious about the deferral and how that will happen, to be sure that if the road is to be built, that 15 years from now, if property to the left and right get developed, that there's actually money and to help make sure that we're comfortable that that road will actually be constructed when the properties are developed.
In the first phase.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I'm happy to answer that. It's documented as in the modification of standards on the development plan, and that's enforceable when you go to a site plan.
there you go.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
That'll be the teeth of the city.
There you go.
Mr.
All
Mayor,
right.
point of clarification.
Do we need an understanding of the material of the fence?
No.
No.
I don't want that. That's
No,
not
no,
my motion.
whether it's chain?
Oh, it
Sorry.
can't be.
I know it's not going to be chain link, but I'm just using that as an example. Just, do we need to specify that it's solid?
Solid fence.
It would fall underneath our fence designs, I assume.
Yeah.
Joey, you want
I
to
think we have
address
to work
that?
that out with planning.
Is there a way we could word it such that it would give staff and the applicant the ability to work through the
That's what I
design?
said, according
Just
to what they work out with planning,
Thank you for your clarification. So then we'll continue to move forward on voting.
because that will happen.
Alderman Barnhill. Yes. Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
No.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes 7-1. We'll now go to modification standard number 8, which is proportion and shape allow for irregular shape signage. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Is there a second by
Second.
Alderman Potts? Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to modification standard number 9, which is signage, general provisions to permit halo lighting for wall and monument signage. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Second by Alderman Potts. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to number 10, which is commercial mixed-use building. Allow materials, add stucco, authentic stucco as the primary material.
Move for approval.
Second.
Appropriate motion second. Any discussion? Ready to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
And I was actually going to go through the reverse order.
You was gonna go through the
Yeah,
reverse.
but I'm going to have to change.
That's the reason I said yes.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some more time to think about it. Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that was number 10. So modification standard number 11, which is large-scale office building materials, add authentic stucco as a primary material. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. We just did.
Appropriate motion by the
Second.
Vice Mayor, second by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Seeing none. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 12 is large-scale office building horizontal articulation. Remove the requirement for a base on authentic stucco walls. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank
Second.
you, Alderman Blanton, second by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Okay, passes unanimously. Item modification standard number 13, which is maximum height, front yard maximum fence height of 6 feet. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Alderman Potts, second by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion?
I'd like to amend the motion, if my colleague would approve, to include screening along Goose Creek bypass, between the fence and Goose Creek bypass. Goose Creek,
That's what it says.
oh, I'm sorry, this is
Wait,
the,
no, this is
the front.
the front
fence.
yard,
Front yard.
front yard setting. Is it Goose Creek Estates that it, I
It
thought
has,
this is on the front side.
it has planting and berms in here.
This is on the,
This is front yard fencing, so is this on the south side or is this on the north side?
North side.
It's on.
We're good.
This is
And
on
it-
Goose Creek bypass.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And-
So as
and-
I said,
It has
also-
plantings and berm in here.
okay.
And are they also, or isn't there also stuff out there already? Because we were talking about it, to allow the 6-foot fence.
If you'll show that original exhibit that shows the view from the bypass, and I remember there is some undulations and things
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
Berms.
I think we ought to have a little more better description than stuff.
Landscaping,
Landscaping, thank you.
greenery.
For clarification, and I don't have that section, I hope this is clear enough. There is intended to be a landscape berm through here that is both higher than the sidewalk and higher than halfway up the fence, leaving only about 3 foot exposed in the front yard. The maximum height of fence in Franklin in the front yard is 3 feet. We want to physically give that impression that it's no taller than 3 feet with the berm, but then there's going to be additional landscape on top of that, likely concealing the rest of the 3 feet of the fence.
Perfect. Thank you. I withdraw my amendment. I know.
Okay, so you ready to vote on number 13?
Yep.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Modification standard 14 has to do with fence materials. Remove the requirement for masonry columns. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you,
Second.
Vice Mayor. Seconded by Alderman Caesar. Way to get in there.
That's right.
Any discussion? Seeing none,
Yeah,
let's vote.
I do have, hold up, Mayor, I have a
We're bypassing everybody.
point of order. We are, does this apply to the whole PD? Because with our amendment to the motion, modification standard 7, that now has a fence in the back that might want to have masonry. Is this,
In the zoning ordinance, if you have a fence along the rear property line that's a part of the screen, this landscape buffer, masonry columns are required on the ends. Only on the ends of the fence. Okay, this is a specific requirement that a masonry column be installed every 50 foot on center. And we're saying that's going to draw too much attention to the fence that we want to disappear in the landscape. We will have a column on the end here at the pedestrian crossing, here out to Goose Creek Bypass, and at the end here adjacent to the road. So there will be 4 masonry fences, but they're going to be at the end caps.
well, I would say if we approve this modification standard to remove the required masonry, that means it's removing the requirement, but it could still be optional in the rear.
Fine, if you want to add it to the front only, that's appropriate, and that's.
Well, we're removing the requirement. I think the spirit of what the discussion has been from the applicant has been that the rear is a kind of a different situation. Okay, thank you.
But the zoning ordinance requirement in the rear is different than it is
Understood.
here, okay.
I want to remove it from the front, and it will not be required in the back.
Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go back to the original motion after having voted to approve all the modifications and standards, and we're ready to vote on the entire motion with approval of all the modification and standards. Everybody clear? Is there any further discussion? If seeing none, we're ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 8, which is City of Franklin Contract 2024-0079 with In-N-Out Goose Creek Bypass Subdivision for a road impact fee offset agreement for amount not to exceed $168,300. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Let's vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 9 is ordinance 2024-04, an ordinance to rezone 21.29 acres from Regional Commerce, RC 12, District of Plan PD, and I won't read that number, it's too long, district for the property located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Cool Springs Boulevard and Carruthers Parkway, Meridian South PUD subdivision, establish a public hearing on May the 14th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
I'll recognize Alderman Peters as a motion. Who will make the second? Alderman Berger, thank you for the second. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 10 is ordinance 2024-10, an ordinance to rezone 2.90 acres from regional commerce RC6 district to Plan PD 65.4 per 3,607 district for the property located north of Cool Springs Boulevard and east of MacHatcher Memorial Parkway at 101 Cool Springs Boulevard, the Caroline PUD subdivision, establishing public hearing May the 14th. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 11 is ordinance 2023-37, an ordinance to amend Title 23 of the City of Franklin Municipal Code to revise definitions, clarify requirements, and to correct grammatical and typographical errors in the Stormwater Management Ordinance, establishing public hearing for May the 14th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Potts.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Next is item 12, Resolution 2024-16 to award the construction contract for the Harlansdale Main Barn Project to MTLC Building Group in the amount of $2,796,000.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Is there
Second.
seconded by the Vice Mayor? Any discussion? Let's vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Consideration.
Can we recognize Lisa and her?
Yes.
Yay.
We're all excited.
This is Resolution 2024-21 to grant the city administrator authority to execute a memorandum of understanding for the purchase of the Battlefield Park property and the Roper's Knot expansion.
Mayor, I've decided that I wish to recuse myself from these discussions and voting involving Franklin's Charge and the Battlefield properties due to my association as a board member with Franklin's Charge. No board member of Franklin's Charge has a financial interest or benefit to any of these transactions, and this is documented through the financial reporting requirements of the various grants we obtain. My decision ensures transparency and prevents any potential conflicts of interest that might be perceived, and so that we can carry on with the good battlefield reclamation work we're doing in the city. I urge you to discuss and vote, and I'll be recused. And I'll
We will
move
come
to
get
approve.
you.
Come get me.
Yes.
I was going to give him the motion, but if he's
Yeah.
walking away, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I was going to do it too, so.
And
There's
is
your
there a
second.
second? Is there a second?
Second, sir.
Alderman Potts, second. Okay. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett has recused himself, so it passes. Next is, if we'll let him back in, next is City of Franklin Contract 2024 with Bridges Domestic Violence Shelter of Williamson County in the amount of $175,000 for the purchase of a home that will offer transition homes to a family moving back into mainstream living funded through the Community Development Block Grant. We're so sorry it's late.
No, no.
But I have a feeling how this is going to go. So is there a motion?
Move for approval.
And who seconded?
I thought I made the motion, but I'll second.
I'll second it if you
Thank
ever
you
have one.
for the second. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Well, now, congratulations. Next
Very
is
good,
City of
very
Franklin
good.
Contract 2024-0062 with Franklin Housing Authority, an amount up to $250,000 for reimbursement of expenses associated with public facilities construction for the Cherokee Development funded through the Community Development Block Grant. Is
Move
there
for
a motion?
approval,
Thank
please.
you, Alderman Blanton. Is there a
Second.
second? Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 16, City of Franklin Contract 2024-0103 with C&T Engineering for construction inspection during the 36-inch Hobus emergency pipe repair.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Alderman
Second.
Potts. Second by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 17 is discussion of the City of Franklin Contract 2024-0102 with Garney Construction of the 36-inch Hobos emergency pipe repair. What is, help me with the,
I think your action would really be an acknowledgement, because I took
Acknowledge.
this action
Good
on your
point.
behalf
Yep.
as an emergency measure.
so I would rephrase this: acknowledgement of City of Franklin Contract 2024-0102. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Potts, seconded by.
Sure, I'll take it.
Alderman Blanton.
For 400.
So, ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman
Yes.
Baggett. Is there any other business that I failed to notice on this lengthy agenda?
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Appropriate motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I should have
You can
amended
spend
that
the night.
motion.
2005.